Just imagine staring on a blank page, your mind racing, but the words just won't flow. Why does writing in English seem so hard to some ESL learners? Is writing anxiety the answer? Well, my name is Nurul Nadia Muhammad and I am from University Malaysia Pahang, Al-Sultan Abdullah. In my presentation, I will share with you some insights from Diploma Engineering students on ESL writing anxiety. Writing is such a significant skill and an important productive activity in any ESL classrooms. However, it is often considered a more complex skill to be learned rather than other language skills such as listening, reading, and speaking. And according to Daly and Miller 1975, writing anxiety can be understood as a condition where the individuals would generally avoid any activity or situation that would require them to write, especially when they know that their writing is to be evaluated. Writing anxiety is also known as writing apprehension or writing block. And there is a general agreement among many researchers that writing anxiety affects writing performance negatively and it hinders students' academic achievement. Based on the researchers' observations in the ESL classroom, many diploma engineering students take an unusually long time to finish their writing tasks. Some of them lack enthusiasm in writing activities or avoid them altogether, indicating the pervasive influence of writing anxiety on their learning outcomes. Additionally, instructors may encounter difficulties catering to the diverse needs of apprehensive learners without a clear understanding of levels, types, and causes of writing anxiety in this context. Because this is not just about teaching methods. And to truly help ESL English learners grappling with writing anxiety, the psychological dimensions of such anxiety are critical to understanding too. Before we delve further into the findings of this study, it is crucial to understand the three common types of writing anxiety as reported in the previous studies. And the first one is cognitive. Cognitive anxiety refers to the psychological states such as having negative expectations, feeling concerned about weak performances, and worrying about others' negative evaluations. On the other hand, somatic anxiety can be understood as one's perception of the psychological effects brought about by the anxiety that they experience. And it is generally related to an increased level of negative emotions like nervousness and tension, as if one is having butterflies in the stomach. And finally, the avoidance behavior. This one is associated with writing anxiety, indicates the behavioral characteristics of avoiding writing. This study was guided by the following research questions. The first one, what is the level of writing anxiety of diploma engineering students? Secondly, what are the types of writing anxiety faced by diploma engineering students? And finally, what are the factors that contribute to diploma engineering students' writing anxiety? This study employed a quantitative approach where survey design was adopted. The respondents of the study were identified through purposive sampling, and a total of 125 diploma engineering students coming from 4 different study programs participated in the study. As for the research instrument, the first instrument used was Second Language Writing Anxiety Inventory, SLWAI, that consists of 22 items developed by Chang in 2004. This instrument consists of 8 items under cognitive, 7 items under somatic, and the remaining 7 items under avoidance behavior. These instruments were used to answer the first 2 research questions. The second instrument used was Causes of Writing Anxiety Inventory, CWAI, which consists of 10 items developed by Rezai and Jafari in 2014. And this instrument was used to answer the third research question. Both instruments use Likert scale with 5 options, namely 1 for strongly disagree, 2 for disagree, 3 for uncertain, 4 for agree, and 5 for strongly agree. In collecting the data of the study, the researchers followed the following data collection procedures. Firstly, they identified the students who enroll in English language courses. Second, they explained the objectives of the study to the participants. Third, they seek students' consent to participate in the study. And finally, they administered the questionnaire via Google Form, where the students were given 3 days to respond. As for the data analysis, it was done according to the research question. As for the first research question, which is to determine the level of writing apprehension, the researchers first calculate the total score of SLWAI questionnaire for each student. 7 items in the SLWAI, which were negatively worded, were scored reversely before calculating the total scores. After summing up the total score of each student, the level of anxiety was determined by classifying them into 3 categories, which are high, moderate, and low level, based on the table below. For the scores above 65, it will be considered as having high level apprehension. For the scores between 50 to 65, it is moderate level apprehension. And for the scores below 50, it shows a low level apprehension. To determine the types of writing anxiety, the items were grouped according to the types of anxiety, namely cognitive anxiety, somatic anxiety, and avoidance behavior anxiety. The items which were negatively worded were first reversely scored before summing up the total score for each category. And then the mean of students' answer on each category of writing anxiety was calculated using the formula below. And the one with the highest mean was recognized as the most commonly experienced type of writing anxiety. Next, to determine the causes of writing anxiety, the following calculation was applied, and the ones constituting the highest percentage could then be identified as the primary contributing factor of writing anxiety. This is the results and discussion of the study. As for the level of writing anxiety, we can clearly see from the chart shown that 44% means most of the students experienced a high level of writing anxiety, while only 36.8% experienced a moderate level and 19.2% experienced a low level of writing anxiety. And the findings was similar to Rizai and Jafari 2014, Wahyuni and Umam 2017, and To and Rahmat 2021. Highly anxious writers could be strongly affected by their negative stresses, and this interrupts their development of essay writing ideas. As for the types of writing anxiety, we can see from the result that cognitive anxiety obtained the highest mean value of 24.7, while somatic anxiety obtained a lower mean value of 19.09, and avoidance behavior anxiety scored the least mean value of 17.67. Therefore, cognitive anxiety was the dominant type of anxiety experienced by the students. The statements like, if my English composition is to be evaluated, I would worry about getting a very poor grade. I don't worry that my English compositions are a lot worse than others, and I'm not afraid at all that my English compositions will be rated as very poor, received higher scores for cognitive category. As for somatic anxiety, the 3 statements with highest scores were, I feel my heart pounding when I write English compositions under time constraint. I tremble or perspire when I write English compositions under time pressure. And my thoughts become jumbled when I write English compositions under time constraint. As for the statements under avoidance behavior that recorded the highest scores were, I usually seek every possible chance to write English compositions outside of class. I usually do my best to avoid writing English compositions, and I would do my best to excuse myself if asked to write English compositions. As for the causes of writing anxiety, it can be clearly seen from the chart shown that there are three top causes of writing anxiety among the students. The first one was fear of teachers' negative comments, which marked the highest percentage of 10.98%, followed by linguistic difficulties of 10.85%, and pressure for perfect work with 10.48%. Therefore, it can be claimed that the primary source of writing anxiety was fear of teachers' negative comments. And when it comes to teachers' negative comments, this situation often occurs when a student's composition does not meet the criteria set by the teacher. Furthermore, it also refers to worrying about being laughed at by others because of poor performance, according to Covanch and Q 2022. Additionally, students who fear negative evaluation will tend to avoid doing things that will cause them to be negatively evaluated. It is not surprising to know that linguistic difficulties is the second dominant cause, since it requires extra efforts and time. It shows that the students suffered from a lack of experience in writing, poor vocabulary, grammatical errors, and the confusion of sentence structures and spellings. According to Wahyuni and Umam 2017, a lack of knowledge in linguistic components is a common challenge faced by the learners when they write compositions in English. On the other hand, linguistic components such as sentence structures, grammar rules, and spellings have always been the essential instruments in English language teaching and learning. ESL learners feel anxious when writing compositions because they are unable to cope with the complex grammar rules to ease the flow of their ideas, and this impedes their writing performance. Pressure for perfect work recorded the third highest percentage for the causes of writing anxiety. It is one of the commonly documented causes of writing anxiety among students. In fact, perfectionism has been reported in numerous studies to be the significant contributor to writing anxiety that is manifested in various forms such as fear of failure, excessive self-evaluation, and concerns about others' perceptions. Kozlow 2023 stated that students who are perfectionists are more likely to have heightened anxiety during writing process, hampering their ability to produce written work effectively. Now we are reaching the end of the presentation. To summarize, the findings revealed that these learners had a high level of writing anxiety and cognitive anxiety was recognized as the dominant type. Fear of teachers' feedback, linguistic difficulties, and pressure for perfect work were the three primary causes of writing anxiety reported by the students. Through this study, it helps teachers to be aware of students' writing anxiety. They can concentrate better on addressing students' difficulties in writing. In the meantime, students' awareness of anxiety is also important because it allows them to reflect on their problems and improve their writing deficiencies. In addition, it creates the need for differential instructional methods and materials to support highly anxious writers to gradually improve their writing skill performance. Therefore, it is recommended that the future studies highlight the strategies that could be applied by instructors to overcome students' writing anxiety. That's all. Thank you for listening.